not sure it's going to be a whole bunch different than what it was, which it wasn't bad. I think it has, it's very hard to be a leader, and that was one thing I noticed when I was there. As a leader, it's really hard to stay out front. The cars have a lot of drag on them, so and they have a really big spoiler on the super speedways, so the cars behind are able to make a pretty good run at you. So I think you're going to see a lot of lead changes, most likely. I think you're going to see a lot of crashes too. There's a few things that probably are the root of that. One being the spoiler we're talking about, and the runs that are formed by that. But also the bumpers on these cars are round, the front and the back. But the back bumper, one thing's definitely different. And when you push cars, if you're not perfectly lined up, it kind of can send the car either way, the one in front of you. So I could see, towards the end of the race when drivers are pushing really hard, and if they have a run, they're just going to hit you. And if they're not lined up just right, it's going to send that car to the left or the right down the straightaway. And there's one right next to you on your door, you're going to run into that one, and that's usually going to start to crash. So I'm afraid the round rear bumpers may cause a lot of crashes, but I do think there'll be a lot of racing going on. I don't think there'll be much stagnant, single file stuff going on, I don't believe.
And you've had a lot of success at Phoenix before. Any noticeable changes in the car, how it handles this new car?
It's plenty different. There's nothing the same with these race cars. They're completely different in every way you could imagine. So as you could imagine, right now we're going through everything, trying to understand what's what. Mainly because we kind of got used to the last few years with no practice, but now we only have 15 minutes of practice. It's really not much more than that with no practice. You don't have time to make any changes. You think about that. You can run 30 laps straight and get a run on that way, or you're going to come in and make a change and go back out. But you don't have much time to do anything longer, right? Long changes has to be something quick. So that's what makes these tests so important right now, is trying to get a direction on things, what they do, and try to make sure you unload close, because if you unload way off, you're in trouble, right? You don't have time to recover. It's definitely a different way of racing, especially with the new car. It wasn't that bad, no practice with the old car, because we kind of got used to it, but little issues that may pop up even outside of handling, right? If you have an issue with one of these parts that we don't completely understand everything yet, if something's wrong with your brakes or your steering, do we know how to fix it? And can we fix it in time for the race? Those are the things that go through my mind that concern me a lot. And it's the same for everybody, so we'll just have to all figure it out.
Hey Joey, Cameron Richardson with the Rich Report. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the digital rearview camera. It's been sort of mixed reaction so far. Larson said it was cool. Reddick early today said he'd rip the thing out of the car if he could. So, but curious to hear your thoughts on it.
It's different. It's okay. I'm used to racing with a mirror. I still have a habit of looking up and there's nothing there. It's like my screen's in a different place. So, getting used to it and understanding, what clear looks like. It's a little different than it used to be, right? We've always had a pretty good feel of, where other cars were by looking in the mirror. Well, there's just so much stuff in the back glass now that your other mirror is not even an option. You can't see much out of the rearview mirror unless you use the camera.
Today is Bell Let's Talk Day, which is an initiative to spread discussing mental health. So my question to you is, how important is mental health to you, and how do you maintain it through a long, grueling season?
Yeah, it's obviously important to performance, right? If you look at it from a racing perspective, right? To get mental health, it's there's a few different sides of it, right? There's the performance side, there's the injury side, all those things that we all are learning about constantly. I don't think anyone has it understood, but we're smarter than we were yesterday a lot of times. So that constant improvement and looking for ways to be better is key, right? And it's something I think is very important, right? As a race car driver, putting yourself at risk, whether it's for concussion or whatever it may be, those things obviously are in your mind, and how do you find ways to be better? So it's great that we're aware of it today more than we've ever been. I think NASCAR's done a good job at trying to understand that as well, and working with helmet manufacturers and different foams in your seats and your headrests, those type of things, to try to limit that, right, and as much as possible. So we're making progress. Is that something we'll ever have figured out and be where we want to be? Surely not ever going to get where we want to be, but with that attitude, we'll keep moving forward.
Hi Joey, Taryn Walk with NASCAR.com. Given today's test and your testing experience so far, how comfortable are you knowing that this next-gen car is going to be racing in less than 2 weeks?
Not too comfortable yet. still got some work to do. Still have issues we're working through. I'd say it's going to be nerve-wracking for the first few weeks of the season, for many reasons. Right, we have to, for one, the parts and pieces of the car, we don't know how long they last. We don't know those things that we talked about, no practice, to speak of really. What's the strategy going to be with these new cars? What's pit stops look like with these new cars? How do you race around on the cars? What's the dirty air going to be like? What lines are going to move? Restarts. All these things we may have some general ideas on, but there's nothing concrete yet until we go out there and race. So when you say comfortable, I'm far from comfortable. There's nothing that I really know for certain is coming my way.
And you mentioned with the rearview mirror, you're naturally looking up to where it would be. Do you find there are a lot of things you're having to unlearn or relearn new in this car?
Yeah, definitely. Not just with the way we set the car up, but as a driver, you got to drive the cars differently. There's different feels, right? You go from the steering box that we had before, now we have a rack in the car, and that's a different feel, for the driver through the steering wheel. So, you cue off a lot of that stuff to figure out what your car is doing. So those are different things. Obviously, the way that, the pedals are, that's something new. How they're located and also how they function is different than what we had in our Penske car before. Now we all have a spec, pedal box. So that's all something for us to get used to as well. Obviously, shifter's pretty easy, but I got an extra gear, so that kind of adds something to think about.
Hey Joey, Crasher Speed Freaks. Do you feel like being one of the veterans of the series, you're at a little bit of a disadvantage with this new car, and whereas some of the younger guys are, this is brand new to them, and they're just going with it?
Are you trying to say something about an old dog?
I'm not saying that, you know. It's bizarre to me to call you one of the veterans. It really is.
I'm only 31.
I know.
I'll be a veteran for a long time. I'm not going anywhere. No,
Good, I like hearing that.
I don't think. I do think if you're going to be a rookie, this is the year to be a rookie. No doubt. I agree with that. But there is still things, like we were talking about last night, and the way we were setting up a car and talking about it. And I said, Phoenix is still Phoenix. It may be a different car, but the things that we've learned over the last 15 years is still there, right? Like what you need in your car and how to run, speed on a long haul. Those things haven't changed. So there's always going to be an advantage to experience, no doubt. That I don't see that changing anytime soon. But if you're going to be a rookie, now is the time, because some of the stuff gets a little bit washed away. But I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage. I still feel like I have an advantage over, drivers with less experience, for sure. Because I still got used on my side, all right? I still got that, and I have some experience as well.
What are some of the things that you and Ryan Blaney have been in the garage discussing? You guys have been arguably in your cars more than some others I've seen this week.
We're just discussing the typical stuff, right? I mean, I can't tell you exactly what we're talking about. We were talking about going to Barrett Jackson last night. We did that. We had that conversation yesterday. It was good. It was a good night. No, we're just talking about our race cars. To be honest with you, just going through the changes that we've made to our cars and what's better, what's worse, and just kind of comparing notes. That's all.
I tried.
No big drama for you. I'm sorry.
We're going to come over here to your left, Joey. Hey, Joey, Devin Henry, Sports 360 AC. Kind of keeping with the teammate talk, you do have two teammates who really never even got to drive the Gen 6 car very much. What's it kind of like having conversations with not just Ryan, but then also kind of giving and getting information from Harrison? And there's so many, not rookies, but guys who just really haven't ran the Gen 6 car moving from Xfinity to Cup instead of Gen 6 to next gen?
Yeah, I think moving up to the Cup level is more than just driving a different car, right? It's the people, it's the competition, it's the way business is done. It's all different. It's the biggest step you ever make too. From Xfinity to Cup is the biggest step. And, so it's not just jumping in a new car. There's also so many other things you gotta learn about some of the things I just said. I'm trying to be the best leader and teammate I can be, to try to help where that is. I think they all have strengths in their own areas, right? I think with Austin, his road course capabilities definitely bring a lot to the table there. So able to, kind of lean on them from that perspective. And, I think over time, we'll all be able to really help each other, right? And kind of went through this once before with Ryan Blaney, right? As when he came in as a rookie with not much experience. It took a little bit till we could really, learn much from him. I think we'll, now obviously he's really good. So we're able to really work well together. I think it'll take some time as well, right? Like it would for any other rookie, but it may happen a little quicker now to the point of the new car. Those things may, we'll lean on each other probably sooner than we did before.